Alright folks, so what we're going to do here is walk you through how to make a chart using Microsoft Excel. And what I'm going to just say as a preface is that there are several different versions of Excel, some for Mac, some for PC. You can actually do something very similar to this with Google Documents if that's your preference. I have Excel 2007. It's one of the newer Microsoft versions, but either way, this should work in just about any version of Excel that you have. The menus might be a little bit different, but you should be fine to figure it out on your own, even though it might be a little bit different. So all we're going to do to get started is open up Excel. Okay, and I'm just going to make some data up and punch it in. I want to punch it in two columns, and the first column is going to be the extension of the spring in meters, and then the other column is going to be the force in the spring, newtons. And I'm just going to make some data up. The first one's 0, 0. This guy is 0.01 for 10 newtons, and this guy is 0.021 for 20 newtons, and this guy is 0.02 or 34 for 30 newtons, and this guy is 0.044 for 40 newtons, and one more we'll do 0.053 for 50 newtons. Okay, so now that you have your data in there, all you have to do is go ahead and select that data by clicking on it and dragging a box across it. And then usually there's either a menu at the top or a thing here that says insert. So click that, and then you might have to do chart or something like that after this, and then you want to select the scatter plot, and I like to do the curvy one with the dots in it, so that's a good one. And there we go, there's a plot of our thing. You'll notice that it says some stuff that we don't want. So first of all, I don't want this. I'm just going to click on it and press delete. Gone. And to change some of the stuff that goes on in this, usually you need to right click on the chart somewhere and click on one of these options to change the stuff. So what I want to do is format chart area maybe, or let's see. Nope, not this particular one, but actually sometimes you can just type right in the box itself. So if I want to change the title of this, let's say it's Spring A, you can just type right in there. And if you want to do something to the axis, you can click on the axis, go to Format Axis, and then probably give it a name somewhere in these options section. You got to dig through it yourself, or you can just write it out by hand, whatever you want to do. But more importantly, the whole objective of this experiment was to figure out the slope of this line. So that's what we want to do. We want to figure out the slope. So the best way to do that is to click the line itself. Make sure you, not the plot area, but that exact, now I've got the line selected. And then I'm going to click on, for me it comes under the layout bar, but you might have to go back up to the chart menu up top and go down to add trend line. But somewhere there's a menu that says add trend line. Here's a trend line for me, and I want a linear trend line. Okay, and then I'm going to click on that trend line and right click on it and go to format trend line, which is basically just the options for the trend line. And I want to do display equation on chart and display R squared value on chart, and I'll explain what those are in a second. So now we have this equation and this R squared thing. This equation is a linear equation, which is good for us because we have a linear function here, and you can see the slope of that line as if this was y equals mx plus b. The n is 918.76, so that's our k for spring A here. And this R squared value represents how close does this black line fit the data, the blue line that we actually got in the experiment. And you can see as long as R squared is pretty close to 1, then everything is legitimate. So this number right here, 918.76, that's my answer. That's K. So that should be pretty clear on how to set it up. Again, it might be different for different versions of Excel, but that's the general idea. If your data is out of order, let's say it looks something like this, suddenly your graph might be kind of crazy, and that would be a bad thing, although this actually is fine. Let's see if we can make it crazy. Yeah, it's doing something crazy. You can't really see it there, but make sure that your data is in order. So if extension is always increasing, so should the force be. And it shouldn't be increasing and decreasing in a weird way. Make sure it goes from low to high or from high to low, either one. Okay, that should be pretty helpful. You might need to mess around with it for a little while, but hopefully you can get it done for me. Let's stop the video. Escape. How do you stop it? Who knows? There we go.